Before this video starts, I want you guys to understand that I am coming from a place of just wanting to be open, transparent, completely honest. I just want to give you guys the rundown as to what happened. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm kind of tired of having it bottled up. I'll get into the reasons later, but this is a mess. I'm gonna keep it real with you. Consulted quite a few people on how to go about making this video, and I'm not sure how I still want to make this video, but I need to get this off my chest. So here I am at 10:52 on a Wednesday night, spilling the beans, so to speak. Here goes nothing. I do need to do one thing though to lighten the mood before we get this whole thing started real quick. I promise it'll be way more symbolic later. I guess we're just gonna go back to basically the beginning of last year. We knew that Ohio was trying this new format for qualifying for the national championship. There's 77 or 78 Bass Nation kayak anglers in Ohio. So with that information, we were told, you know, the top 10% go to Texas, therefore Ohio will be sending 8 representatives. So it was an absolute dogfight between a lot of very good anglers all year to qualify for the state championship. Was supposed to be the top 30% of those 80. So we were going to narrow it down to the top 30 while still keeping that 80 number as a base. So we narrowed it down from 80 to 24 on a state championship on Hoover Reservoir, with 8 people punching their ticket to Lake Fork. And fortunately, I was able to find some fish early in a very good 4-pounder late in the day. That's where this clip came from.
See you in Texas, boys.
But I came in 3rd. I actually cashed a check in my first ever state championship. You know, being on the podium at 18 years old, your first year doing this, is pretty freaking wicked. That's sweet. It's a memory I'll hold forever, and it's just kind of gas to my fire to get back there again, because that is an awesome feeling. You know, stacking yourself toe to toe with some of the best fishermen in the state and coming out on top. But with that, 8 people qualified for Texas. Me, Bobby Young, Josh Nickel, that was the top 3. A lot of other people that are probably well known throughout the state. Brian Slayton, Creek Crawler, came in 4th, right behind me. He actually had the same amount as me, so did 5th. I just had bigger fish than Brian. Yeah, Brian. But Corey Chatrone, Adam Shootman. Sorry, Adam. It's Adam Coleman. I don't know where the hell I got Shootman from. But all these people that are absolute sticks in Ohio punched our ticket. And with this, ever since we've been researching. There's been group chats. I've spent a couple $100 on new rods, reels. I'm about to order tackle. And you can't imagine my surprise when I get a text earlier this week. Hey, by the way, Bass is screwing us. They're only going to send 2. Sorry guys, you guys are out of luck. So immediately everybody's reaction was, what?
What?
Like, whoa, what? We're just screwed out of luck here? What's going on here? So this started a basically multi-day long back and forth with the anglers, Bass, and our rep trying to figure out where this misunderstanding happened, how we can fix this, and what happened. How did we go from 8 to 2? How did the state of Ohio, which has, I think the most Bass Nation members, or like one of the highest Bass Nation members counts in the country, end up with the same amount of slots as New Hampshire and Vermont? Where's that discrepancy? What happened? And it was determined that there was an agreement between there was an agreement that was kind of a misunderstanding, that our rep thought we could narrow it down to this top 30% and still have that 80 number to go off of, but instead we got narrowed down to 24 in the top 10%, which was 2 instead of 8. So Bass only took those top 2, Bobby Young and Josh Nickel, which I could not be happier for Bobby and Josh. They're both great guys. They've fished super hard competitively. Bobby won Angler of the Year and Ohio Kayak Open Series and OKF. Dude is a freaking stick. Josh kicked. I mean, these two literally ran away with this tournament. I was in 3rd place behind Josh, and I think I was 7 or 8 inches behind him. So it was a pretty substantial gap. But this is kind of when all hell broke loose for the other 6 anglers, including myself. So this is at the point where we find out there is absolutely nothing we can do. The 6 of us, 3rd, myself through 8th, are not going. That is final, set in stone. Nothing we can do. And this is when grievances started flying from myself and the others. There were kind of these 2 categories. There was this monetary, what are we going to do about this money? And then there's the stuff you can't even put a price on. And I'm going to scroll through some of these chats here. Actually, so just speaking for myself, I am 18 years old. I'm a freshman at Ohio State. So, you know, it doesn't get much broker than me. Yet I still spend an absurd amount of money on this because I love to do it, but I'm broke. I'm registered for this tournament. Like, when you look up on TourneyX, the Bassmaster Kayak Series, I'm right there. Registered. Good to go. I can fish it if it started tomorrow. Now, I'm going to get my money back or whatever, but that's a $420 entry fee. Now, because I'm 18, and this is kind of a big deal, my parents wanted to see this. So my mom's going to fly from Columbus to Dallas, drive a rental car, and stay in a hotel pretty much just while I fish all day and be there to support me. My entry fee was $418.95. My mom's flight was $407.09. The hotel was $397.45 for her for that X amount of days. Her rental car was $212.08. And my share of the Airbnb we had in Texas was $180. So right there is already over $1,600 invested into this by my family and I. That is not counting the $15,000 kayak I just bought with the consideration of, oh, I'm going to Texas. I'm going to be able to use this there. So, you know, I might as well splurge and use all the fancy electronics. That's also not counting the rods, the reels, the line, and some of the tackle that went into this. So, assuming some of this is refundable, I'm going to get my entry fee back. My mom can take credits for her flights. Gonna have to work on the rental car, hotel. But that's a big headache for something that should have been very preventable. Another great representation is Adam Coleman. His wife's flight, $208.98. Dog boarding to go with him. There's another $340. Airbnb, $840. Kayak travel cover, $300. And a lot of these people invested into their kayak for this tournament. He spent almost $2,200 on a motor and battery setup. So when you add that up, that's Adam's out $3,000 right there. So as a group, the 6 of us are out close to $20,000. Now, will we get some of that back? Yes. Was this all preventable? Hell yes. Which is the biggest issue. But now we start looking at the stuff you can't put a price on. I'm refilming this so I can put a big enough emphasis on this. Alright. Stuff you cannot put a monetary value on, speaking for myself. 1, the obvious is the chance at life-changing money that comes with fishing the national championship. You know, the prices, I think it's somewhere 30 to 40 grand. That would pay for the rest of my college, which would take a huge burden off of me and my parents' shoulders. Eventually, I do want to have a career in fishing, hunting, the outdoor industry, and this is once in a lifetime exposure for somebody at my age. This is literally me at the world's biggest job fair for bass fishing. You know, people are going to notice an 18-year-old. The time I spent away from friends and family, time I spent just on the water practicing during the week, the weekends, I skipped some classes. And finally, time spent researching Lake Fork. I've watched over 100 hours of videos from the last 3 months. Like, my routine would be get home from work, watch 2-3 hours of video, go to bed, wake up the next day. Instead, tonight my routine consists of taking 2 hours to make a video. That's stuff you can't necessarily put a price on because it doesn't have a monetary value, but that sacrifice is still worth something. So those are the 2 big kind of grievances here. And I don't want to speak for everyone because everybody's going to have a different experience of getting refunds. Can we get this money back? I think the majority of this money should be able to come back, but this is something, the overall message was, why are we finding out the 3rd week of January for a tournament we qualified for the 2nd week of October that we're fishing a month and a half from now? And the overall consensus was that, you know, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but it was procrastination and laziness from our rep. And that's just the God honest truth. Like, that's not me being mean. That's not me taking a shot at him. I obviously haven't named him on here. But that procrastination just caused over $20,000 in headaches for individuals across the state. And I've been asked, like, you know, like, this is small claims court stuff. Like, are you going to sue? No, I'm not going to sue. I'm just going to do my due diligence, try and get my money back where I can. You know, using a new flipping stick in Ohio ain't going to kill me. But I just wanted to get that off my chest because I have marketed myself as a Bassmaster Kayak Classic qualifier for the last 3 months, and I don't want to be, you know, I understand. I've had multiple people tell me, like, oh, and you came in 3rd, you're 18 years old, you're gonna do great things, like, you're a stick. It's not your fault. It's a one big kind of misunderstanding. But I feel a sense of duty to, you know, be authentic to myself. I don't want to market myself as something I'm not, you know. If I'm not fishing the classic, kayak classic, I'm not a qualifier. You know, I still came in 3rd in a state of 80 people, but, you know, if you don't qualify, you don't qualify. I've had companies reach out to me that want to work with me for 2025 because they want to get that national exposure. And those were some pretty tough phone calls to be like, hey, by the way, I'm not going. And they're like, why? What happened? And giving them this rundown down a rabbit hole that is just a mess. And you know, I'm not one to kind of point fingers or come up with theories, but you know, at the bottom of this issue was the procrastination, not having this in writing, ironed out to a T before the tournament. But I know people have also had issues with Ohio in the past, like Bass Nation people outside of Ohio saying that we send too many people. You know, there's a lot of people on the pro tour from Ohio that do really well and qualify every year, and then on top of that, you know, 7, 8. Last year they sent 6 Bass Nation members to the state championship. There's a lot of people that don't like Ohio and got grievances with Ohio. But it's like, it's one of those things where if you catch fish consistently in Ohio, because Ohio, won't sugarcoat it, Ohio sucks. You can't catch fish here outside of May or June half the time. The lakes just suck. So if you're able to do it consistently, catch quality fish, you are a literal wizard in Ohio.
You're a wizard, Harry.
I'm a what?
And I think that's why Ohio produces some of these top anglers that go and repeat that, and they kick ass at the national level because they have that grit that Ohio taught them about. Ohio, like crappy fishing. If you can catch them in Ohio, you can go to Texas. On a bad day in Texas is a good day in Ohio. You can catch them in Texas. You can catch them in Florida. Drew Gregory just caught smallmouth in the desert in Arizona and won the Bassmaster event. But this is just something I wanted to put out there because I didn't want to hide this anymore, and that I didn't want to, you know, say Bassmaster Classic qualifier. You know, I'm speaking at the Great Lakes Fishing Expo in 2 days, and they invited me as a Bassmaster Classic qualifier. So there's just that feeling of I want to be true to myself. I want to be honest with people. I don't want to pretend to be something I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to get this off my chest, I guess. Before we wrap this video up, I want to extend my best of wishes to Bobby Young and Josh Nickel, because I feel like, you know, they're in a really hard spot, because I feel bad for them on this, because I feel like they have a little bit of survivor's guilt almost with this kind of whole mess happening to the rest of us 6. But there would be nothing that I would enjoy more than to see one of you two bring it home for Ohio and to represent the other 6 of us that kind of got short end of the stick here. I do want to end this video on a little bit of a positive note. You know, I've been pretty down in the dumps this whole video. And to be brutally honest, this situation was very hostile. The last few days, the group chat that all this kind of transpired, it was very violent, I'd say, verbally. So I gave it a few days to cool down. I want to get it off my chest now. But I think the best thing for me would be just to kind of put this behind me. I mean, I can mope about it, and that's not going to change anything, or I can look forward to an OKF schedule that plays well to my strengths starting early. Alum Creek in the spring, April and May being East-West Harbor. Those are my 2 favorite fisheries. Those are my 2 home lakes. Fishing those in the spring. And then third is Mogador, and I had a top 10 there last year. Mogador, Nimicello, Portage Lakes. Just kind of put this whole toxic, bad situation, just put it in the rearview mirror. Don't let this drag us down in 2025. Kind of just, you're gonna have to put the blinders on here for a minute, which this situation does suck. It's like, there's nothing glorious about this. This sucks, but I got to do my part, and I gotta worry about catching fish in 2025 so I can get another shot at this. So I hope you guys enjoyed my rant. This is kind of, I just wanted to get it out there to the people that might not know what's going on. I gotta figure out when I'm gonna release this video, because I don't want to, you know, have this blow up in the Ohio kayak fishing world. While there's good people like Brian Tacey working on a solution for next year, and people getting, you know, upset at him and him having to deal with that. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. So appreciate you guys for watching. See you on the next one.